So it was a mad search for enlightenment and awakening because the little egoic mind, the little identification with the little self thought, oh, that's the solution. That's how I can get out of suffering. Because I was suffering life. I had a lot of emotional pain I carried. I couldn't stand myself. I was always at conflict within myself. But the strategy was outer accomplishment. I was accomplished. I could do anything I wanted. I was very successful in whatever I put my mind to, and I tried many different things. I loved variety, still do. But I had an inner war with myself, and it felt like there was a part of me that was angry and hurtful, and another part was totally connected to its divinity and angelic and brought in all this healing energy, and those two just didn't fit together.
This is our second segment with Angelika Schafer on rising through trauma into healing. And this episode is called Embracing Pain in Transformation. You'll hear insights on the profound shifts in consciousness currently occurring on Earth. Angelika also opens her own story around food addiction and a personal experience that demonstrates the holistic nature of inner healing. We explore the interconnectedness of all beings and the power of non-resistance. You'll come away with inspiration for setting new patterns in difficult times and some practical tools for transformation. We are uplifted as we celebrate our living co-creative relationship with the divine as expressed in Angelika's healing work, an open door for us all. Episodes of We Be the Change may discuss sensitive topics such as abuse, trauma, violence, addiction, and more. These conversations focus on overcoming challenges with hope and compassion. The hosts and guests may hold different viewpoints, but we value and respect appreciation and mutual learning. Views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and may not reflect the policies or positions of any entity. The podcast's content is for informational purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. Songrise LLC assumes no liability for errors or omissions.
I'm still in my experience, but more strong, even more strong now. So I'm still in California, Northern California. I live in the woods off the grid, just on the side in a straw bale cottage. And I just love this lifestyle where I know where everything comes from and where everything goes. I'm very conscious of energy consumption, water consumption. I'm very conservative because we're on a solar system. You can't just turn everything on whenever you want to. And our well is not that great, so we have to conserve the water to have a vegetable garden and fruit trees. And so I'm very aware of living in harmony with earth, with nature, with the systems. I'm always aware there's an awareness there naturally. And my parents did give us a good foundation on that. They took us to the forest to forage for berries and mushrooms and wild things. So I had a good foundation. They were really good people. They were just so traumatized that it was just very difficult. And all I wanted just to get away from the pain. But then after my Ananda experience and the India trips, it turned into this search for enlightenment. So it was a mad search for enlightenment and awakening because the little egoic mind, the little identification with the little self thought, oh, that's the solution. That's how I can get out of suffering. Because I was suffering life. I had a lot of emotional pain I carried a lot. I couldn't stand myself. I was always at conflict within myself. But the strategy was outer accomplishment. So I was accomplished. I could do anything I wanted. I was very successful in whatever I put my mind to, and I tried many different things. I loved variety, still do. But I had an inner war with myself. And it felt like there was a part of me that was so hurt that it was angry and hurtful. And another part was totally connected to its divinity and angelic and brought in all this healing energy. And those two just didn't fit together. You can imagine. What's so odd is before we started recording, I told you this little story, and maybe it's worthwhile going into it right now.
Sure.
So I have a neighbor and friend that I have a long history with. He had his toes amputated because of diabetes, and I check in on him often and bring food and make him a fire. He lives with a wood stove, which is not the best, but so I went over there yesterday, Sunday, and he was shivering. He hadn't eaten all day. His cat wasn't fed, and he was in extreme pain because the nurse that had been there a couple days before didn't do the wound wrapping correctly, and the wound vac, which sucks the fluids, didn't work. And it was a mess. And it was very stressful. I'm not a nurse. The physical stuff, the smelly physical stuff is not my thing. I'm more of a nurse for the heart and the spirit and the mind. But sometimes life asks of us to do things that we're not comfortable with. And so anyway, I ended up having to cut off all this old bandage stuff of this amputated foot with these deep wounds. And I did it, but it was hard, very hard, even physically. But when I got home, and he was in so much pain, he was very grouchy, and it was stressful, even with all my tools and knowledge. And I was not happy, but I did walk home 20 minutes and just watching the starry sky. It was dark by then. I've spent much more time than I had intended to. And I just connected with the universe and said, thank you. Thank you for the pain too. And these things that we can't solve, there is no solution that I can find. And that used to make me crazy. I realized that most human beings, we are stuck in our small self, in the limited sense of self, that is always in some kind of strategy or some kind of attempt to make things better, to find solutions, to put a band-aid, to escape, to distract ourselves, to not meet the pain of the human condition fully. And so I was communing with the stars on the way home, and even though I felt pain, and for him too, the pain of humanity, and this morning I cried. I let myself cry like a thunderstorm moving through my system. But it's not with the story that it should be different anymore. It's simply just feeling it fully and allowing the energy to move through my system like I'm a lightning rod, to let it transform through or express or discharge through my own nervous system. I now have that ability. So the reason I was crying is I met the pain of the world. So many beings, especially in my age, I'm 71 now, so many of my friends they have died or they are dying right now. They're sick, they're not well. I seem to be the only one who is doing better than ever in my age group, and even younger ones. And so I felt the pain of the whole world, of all the beings that I'm connected to. I really felt it, but I felt it with a purity of heart, like with non-resistance. And I always heard the teachings from my beautiful master teachers that the suffering comes from the resistance to what is.
Yes.
I realized I could cry and allow myself to have my heart open in the pain and feel it fully and not resist it. And there was no story that it should be different. A thought came, if you could go to a perfect planet right now, a perfect world, would you? The answer was, I was surprised, actually. The answer was no. I am here in the right place, at the right time, in the right way, because I am here to help transform these energies on the planet. I'm here to help free the prisoners, myself included. And when I was able to cry so purely and meet that pain, I had the sense that the pain and the joy that I also feel often, that bliss and joy and just exuberance of life, it became like one thing.
Yes.
Merged into one. And I realized I'm getting to the point where I don't have a preference anymore. I'm not seeking for the high for the bliss that I used to be so addicted to, or even the feeling of being in love on the human level. I used to be so addicted to it. But I'm no longer seeking those things. I notice now that I'm just able to be with what is arising, whatever that is, be it pain or be it joy, and to really allow it to express freely and fully through my own system without making it wrong or resisting it or judging it or saying, oh, there's something wrong with it. I counsel people. I have a wonderful method, cognitive movement, that I use to help people release trauma out of their nervous system. And I've done it myself enough that I'm now very skillful with that.
Yes.
Even overcame PTSD. It's so much progress. And I was able to help my sister in Germany. Her life is totally changed. But
Good.
for me, I feel like it's because I can and I have these tools that in a way it's my sacred work to allow the intense energies of earth to purify through me, transform through me, integrate through me. And I'm not doing this alone. So I'm very aware that it's the divine in me doing that. Source, my creator, is just there is a sense of merging with that, and thy will is my will is thy will. So it's getting to this place of where it feels like a co-creation. Not like I'm a puppet that is guided by some invisible strings, but it's more like what I deeply desire is what Source deeply desires for me. And it's
Yes.
now becoming one thing. And
Wow.
that transmission, these realizations, they are so profound and they are actually affecting everyone I meet now. I can
Yes.
literally feel it. And it's not an ego thing. It's not, oh, I'm this great healer or this spiritual teacher. Not at all. It's not like that. Just I'm noticing, I'm observing that this beautiful, transforming, healing energy is coming through and blessing people. Even if I don't speak, when I'm in that state, that flow state, the state of grace,
Yes.
it just flows through me. And I'm just like, I'm observing the whole thing and I go, wow, isn't that wonderful? Like I'm cheering it on. Like whatever is happening through me, this is absolutely wonderful. And I'm so grateful.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, I can tell you're listening with your heart. I can tell you can relate to what I'm saying. And you are the actor. You are the director of the movie. You are the one that watches the movie. And you are the one who wrote the script, but you're aware of all of these different aspects at the same time.
Yes.
That's absolutely amazing.
It is. I am so appreciating how you are able to articulate this, because so much of it feels like it's beyond words, and yet the words are soaked and saturated with such life exuberance as you speak, because this is timeless. And yet it's so timely, because the story that we are living in now is ripe and ready to know beyond the head knowing, but to know with the entire being that all is well, and that the well in that phrase that we hear so much is more than pretty good. It's so beyond the intellectual knowing of what. And yet I feel it palpably as you're speaking, and I see it in your face that this is infinite. And yet here it is working through your mind, your heart, your nervous system, your body, your life, the pain around you, the healing that comes through, not as anything separate from yourself, but as a further expression, an expanding expression of who you have always been, and now unfolding in such simple but very profound, powerful ways, this freedom that you are expressing. I love it. It
Yeah,
is
and
so
Colleen,
powerful.
that's very well said. And it's freedom with all things. It's not
Yeah,
from anything.
exactly.
I need to be free of the fences and the restrictions and the heaviness and the pain. No, it's freedom with everything.
That's it.
Different. It's different.
Yes.
I just want to quote a little quote from Mike Dooley's Notes from the Universe, and it came in during Christmas time. He said, "You are life's prayer of becoming its answer." I just
Oh, wow. I love that.
Say that again. You are
My
life's
life's
prayer.
prayer of becoming its answer. That kind of has that sense, that spirit of co-creation. Life is not separate from us. It works with us in whatever
Yes.
state we find ourselves. I want to quickly address some of the changes I've noticed in the shift of consciousness on Earth, and
Mhm.
long talked about it for decades and been awaiting this big shift. But what I'm noticing is very profound shifts that may not look glamorous. For example, I used to go for the teachers, the gurus,
Mhm.
and there was this sense of, I am small and I can never reach your level. And you have this amazing capacity and light to express. But now it's different. Now I love those teachers. I respect them. I just bow to them with all my heart. But this one is now, it's the next wave. So it used to be these very high frequency beings that have guided us. And we're the next wave of awakened beings that are now guiding the rest of humanity, the wave that comes after us. So,
Yeah, I see that as the what is it called? The bow wave? Like
mhm,
when a boat is on the water and moving forward, there's a wave in front of it that opens the way for all that comes after. That's the picture that has been in my mind about what you're describing is that people like you who aren't showing up to be a great teacher or a great healer or something like that. You are just showing up as you realizing and awakening to all that you are and have always been.
yeah.
Um,
And then I can use all the tools, all the things that I've learned and tried and accumulated. I can use them freely. Oh, for this person, this tool is needed. For this person, this tool is needed. And a lot of it had to do with when I became a practitioner of cognitive movement with Bill McKenna and Liz Larson. It's a conglomerate of many different systems, but it actually is so brilliant. It works with the eyes, eye movement, and it opens up the whole brain. And then you can look at any issue from different perspectives. And the
Mhm.
nervous system is intelligent enough to integrate the information instead of being stuck in a little trauma loop, which is going on in the amygdala and the hippocampus of the brain, the survival part of the brain. We shift out of that and we can reprocess with all of the brain engaged through movement of the eyes, pattern interrupt, all these things from that modern neuroscience and modern psychology has found. And for me, it literally brought all the spiritual capacities online just to remove the stress and trauma in the nervous system. That
And isn't
brought
that beautiful
yeah,
that
it
this
just
is in your
uncovered it.
body? Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just uncovered it. It's like all that light, all that capability of connecting, it was stuck in a separation, a sense of, oh, life is hard on Earth, it's dangerous, the Earth is not safe. And there was this like heaviness, heavy layers of distress
Mm,
over the true being. And by
mm,
moving or integrating or releasing all these layers of stress, and what we really are comes online automatically. But it's like I said, a co-creation. So the formula that I've come across through my teachers in India was threefold. There is intention. That means we need to be very clear on what we want. Very
mm,
clear. What is our greatest heart's desire? What do we want to create and manifest here on earth? This is a place of manifesting. So, what is it that we want? And not limited by limited ideas from the past. And then the second step is we need to put in effort. And
mm,
so that's our part where we show up and where we show the universe that we mean it. We make the steps. Like you do so much work, preparation work behind the scenes to make these podcasts possible, from websites to all the things that go into it. It's huge. But you showed up, you had an intention, you showed up, you did the steps, you did them in order that they need to be done. And then the last part is grace, the flow. So the last part is the easiest one. We just open, we know we've done what we could, and then we open to the grace to actually make it into the beautiful offering that it can be. But it doesn't happen when we just sit on the couch and say, oh, it's all love and light and it's all going to come to me if I just have the right thoughts and the right feelings. It's not like that. That is an immature spiritual fantasy that I used to have too when I learned about manifestation. But we really need to show up fully. We need to show up for ourselves and for life and for Earth, for each other. And it's very hard sometimes. I'm not saying it's easy. This shifting consciousness, because here it's so dense and so inside out and upside down, and there are so many challenges on so many levels. This is not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of courage, but we really need to do something every single day that brings us closer to where we want to be. For example, that's just an example. Because my parents experienced starvation and they experienced a lot of hardship and survival fear. When we were little, they made sure we had not only plenty to eat, but too much to eat. So we were always encouraged to eat. And food was a comfort. It was was our comfort. That's when both of my parents cooked and baked, and it was a treat. And that's when we had a little break from that distress that was always in the space. Well, I was always addicted to food. Luckily, my body was great. I could get away with it. I burned tons of energy. But now in my 70s, I sit at the computer a lot. When I do counseling, I sit a lot. And I realized my body isn't the same. It's not as forgiving. And so I didn't feel that good. I felt sluggish. I felt a little bit more pounds than I wanted to, but I couldn't tackle it because the addiction to the food, there was so much story with this craving all the time to eat because it was making me feel pleasure and filling a hole inside of me on the human level, that emptiness, that loneliness of the human being feeling separate from source. So I tried to tackle it before. I was aware of it, of the pattern, but it seemed too big, so I kind of ignored it. And finally, it was the right timing. There was enough grace. So what happened is I signed up for an online fitness program and weight loss program, and I have an online coach, and I signed up for 3 months, and I've completed 2 months, and the pattern has been broken. So now even the body is cooperating with this ease, more easeful and more natural, and not going after the cravings, just to be able to work with that part of me with compassion, but with discipline. Not a harsh discipline, but a loving discipline that feels so good. I cannot even convey with words how good that feels. There is a sense of self-respect. There is a sense of feeling in harmony with your being, working with your inner child, working with the cravings and addictions, and feeling a success because you're working together. And again, the program wasn't easy. There were days when I was like, oh, I can't do this. And exercising every day, working out, doing cardio. So what happens if we have a goal, right? And this program, you set the goal in the beginning, your intention, and then the effort part is you do your thing every day. You do something around food and you do something around exercise. And the third part is grace. And so if you wanted to develop a lot of muscle, a six-pack, and that was your intention, and you go to the gym and you work out one time, and you come home and you expect this six-pack to be there, right? Forevermore. It doesn't work like that. It takes you, even to maintain it once you reach the goal, it takes daily dedication, effort, and work. It's just the way it is here on Earth. Things either decay or they build. It goes in one direction or the other. In Hinduism, there is the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma being the creating principle of creation, the manifest creation. Vishnu being the maintaining, sustaining principle. And Shiva being the destroying or transformational principle. And you see it in nature. Everything comes, everything stays for a while, and then it decays. Same with our bodies. Of course, we try to deny that because it makes this little sense of self, that identification with this little body, mind, self, makes it freak out when it thinks about, oh, I'm going to decay and go away. That's, oh no. So in the way, I try to avoid that thought. But I've been working a lot with dying people lately, and a lot, very consciously. I contemplate my own death every day. I'm very aware that it could happen anytime. And because I faced it so much, and I even do a guided meditation with it, we could maybe do an episode with that. I've wanted to do that because it's
Yes.
going to be very helpful for people. So
Yes.
preparing ourselves for the right state of mind, because
Mhm.
where we go next and how we are right now, the quality all depends on how consciously we work with these principles. And
Mm.
I think it could be extremely helpful. Also, what we experience after this life depends very much on our thoughts that we have right now, our attitudes, our feelings, our expectations.
Warm thanks to Angelika for modeling how spiritual evolution is not about escaping the human experience, but about fully embracing it. This was such a nourishing, potent conversation for me. How about you? Are you feeling more willing to embrace both joy and pain? What lit up for you in this conversation? And by the way, you can access free journaling prompts for nudging your inner flow on the bonus content page for subscribers at songrise.live, songrise.live. And make sure to join us for part 3 of Angelika's Rising Through Trauma into Healing, which opens in a discussion of how subconscious beliefs can affect near-death experiences.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of We Be the Change. We hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as we did. We'd love to hear your thoughts and send you a surprise gift in appreciation for your time and for your interest in being the change. Just head on over to songrise.live. That's songrise.live. Go to the contact page and tell us which episode you just heard and any feedback that you might have. We'll respond with a gift just for you. And while you're there, check out the other resources, songs, and subscription choices with their bonuses too. Also, thank you in advance for your podcast ratings and reviews. These help us greatly. So until next week, this is Colleen Akiko, appreciating that you showed up here with us to be the change.